Summer, hello.
Hello.
This is not summer. This is a rough facsimile of summer. This is the show called There and Back Again, about going there and coming back again. It's you kind of sort of prompted this with your trip to this summer recently, 2024, to where?
It was a canoe trip through New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and a little bit of Massachusetts.
You called it a canoe trip,
Yes.
and you started where?
I started in Old Forge, which is in the Adirondacks of New York.
Well, is that where you started, or did you start in New York City?
I started in New York City.
Where and but you met up with Samantha, who you call Sam, so I'll call her Sam. Met up with Sam where?
I met up with Sam at the end of, there's a train line that leaves New York. So I think it's the Amtrak or something. I forgot exactly the train line, but it goes up to the end of that line, which is somewhere up in Connecticut. Just met at the end of that train line, and then took Samantha's car
And
up to Forge.
up to where?
Old Forge, and that was maybe a 6 hour drive.
Ooh, so the starting point is Old Forge.
Old Forge.
Oh, and
It's a
that's
tiny.
Old Forge, New York.
Yes.
And was there, I mean, it's kind of hard with a canoe trip because it's kind of circular and in and out and here and there. But the was there an endpoint? Can you say that there was an endpoint that you wanted to reach, or not,
Yes,
or not, or not really?
we wanted to do the Northern Forest Canoe Trail, which is a trail that goes up into the tip of Maine.
Mhm.
Um, that that is only done by maybe 20 or 30 people each year, and it's not very well marked. And it's a very difficult trail. So we did start and we did about halfway, but then we changed plans about halfway just because of how difficult the trail was.
If you had done the full, and it's called Old Forest Trail,
Northern Forest Canoe Trail.
Northern Forest Canoe Trail,
Yes.
and the endpoint would have been Northern Maine.
Northern Maine, yes. I can't remember the exact name of the town, but
But
oh, Fort Kent, Maine. Fort Kent, Maine.
what's the name of it?
Fort Kent, Maine.
Fort Kent, Maine.
Fort Kent, Maine. Yes.
And is this uh mm, I have to practice it. Old Forest, old, what's the name of the trail again?
Northern Forest Canoe
Northern
Trail.
Forest Canoe Trail. Is this
Yeah.
kind of a huge U-shaped trail, kind of sort of, or not?
Um, no, it goes generally in one direction. It kind of goes north. If you're starting in the Adirondacks, it kind of almost follows Canada up north. It's pretty much a wavy straight line.
It's weird. What do you have done it most of it now? What do you reckon that a canoe trail is? Because I know what a trail is. You go from A to B and it's kind of sort of linear. What the heck is a canoe trail?
Um, yeah, it was confusing for me too. I wasn't really sure what it would be. But it is a series of lakes. It can be rivers that are both upstream or downstream. It's just somebody kind of mapped out a way that you could take a boat at the easiest possible way through the several states. And it does include like upstreams or just lakes, and it does include portages. We had to take the boat out and walk a few miles here and there to connect lakes or connect rivers. So it was not a very uh it was kind of, you had to be creative about it. You had to like figure it out as you went a little bit.
And so this, even though it's much windier than your typical trail, it's still a linear trail, isn't it?
It's pretty much linear. We're either on foot or in the canoe the entire time, going pretty much one direction. Yeah.
And that's a hardship. If you're doing a canoe trip on foot, that's a hardship, isn't it?
Yes, that's part of why we ended up switching to a different river in the end.
Because you're not muscle girl, are you?
Not exactly.
I mean, you've done, in fact, you've done the Appalachian Trail through hike at the age of 18. I will plug that. You started March, you went March, April, May, June, July. I will remember that until I'm 86. So you started when you were when you were 18, you finished when you were 19, and that was that. And that was several years ago. And a couple of years ago, you did a trail in Western US called the
Continental Divide Trail. It was not the whole thing, but I did spend a few months on it. Doing it's a trail going from Mexico to Canada,
Yes.
through Colorado, through all those states in the middle.
Did you do a micro bike trail in Florida?
I kind of created my own bike trail in Florida. I went down to start. I started the is it called the Florida Trail? It's just called the Florida Trail. It's a long trail going through Florida. And then at a certain point, I felt like changing it up, and I bought a bike and just made my own trail with the bike.
But you had a tent on your back, didn't you?
Yes, I had a tent, I had a sleeping bag, I had everything.
And last but not least, what gave rise to the Northern Forest Canoe Trail adventure?
I think it comes down to just every summer now I get pretty antsy, get like I want to do a trip, and if a friend of mine is doing one, I'll definitely just, if they need company, I will offer company. And it just lined up perfectly. And the canoe trail, it's some I've always loved hiking, obviously, but I think eventually it might get hard on the knees, and it just might I just wanted to change it up a little bit. So I was thinking about canoe trails or bike paths or bike trails. And since my friend was doing a canoe trail, I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to learn.
What was the hardest part? The arms and the arms and the shoulders?
Yes, the first 3 days my arms were extremely sore to the point where I think I stopped paddling for a couple like hours here and there just because I was too
Mm,
sore to paddle sometimes.
mm,
Um,
mm.
but after a while, just like trail legs, like just like hiking, the muscles recover and then they are stronger afterwards.
Wow. What do you recommend to someone that hasn't done or is considering the Northern Forest Canoe Trail?
Um, I recommend packing carefully. I think one of my problems was I just rushed the packing. I did it in about an hour, just kind of guessing what I might need, but it's always good to do a little more research than that. And make sure everything you have can be made waterproof.
Ah,
Just just because the canoe might tip in every now and then, which it did.
well,
Um,
yeah, it helps to have waterproof stuff on a canoe trail, doesn't it?
yes, I think I might be saying things that are obvious.
Well,
The footwear is important.
it's not obvious at the time you had never done a canoe trail.
Yeah, yeah.
So you started at what town and you finished at what town? The same town?
No, so we got so along the trail we crossed over the Connecticut River, and we decided instead of continuing north to Maine, we would turn right on the Connecticut River and take it down south back towards home. So we followed the Connecticut River for maybe 10 days south and ended in Brattleboro, which is I think in Massachusetts.
So your trail, your adventure ended in Brattleboro,
Yes, Brattleboro.
and is that part of the trail or is that a offshoot?
That's an offshoot that we kind of made up for ourselves.
And how many days did you do all offshoot trailing?
That turned out to be like about 10 days of that was like the ending week and a half. I think it was the change of heart happened partly because I kept having random like problems. Like I had poison ivy, and then I had like a foot. I stepped on a rock very hard, and I wasn't sure if my foot was okay. And then I thought I had a hernia at some point. It was just different things kept popping up. And so just because I wasn't sure what was happening, I thought it would be smarter to head towards home instead of away from home. So we started looking for ideas to turn back towards New York, and Connecticut River leads towards New York. So we spent maybe 10 days on that going down south.
I'm guessing Sam has done canoe hikes before.
Nope, neither of us had ever done anything like this.
So was Sam suffering the same things you were suffering from?
Yes, it was mutual shared suffering. And we both, or we weren't sure during the first week, we weren't sure if we would make it even past the first week because it was just so difficult. And there were some towns when we sat down and looked at like trains back and considered maybe quitting early, but we just like thought one more day, and it turned out to be okay.
If you had done the entire trail, how long would it have taken, give or take a day?
If we had done the entire trail, if we were to try again with more knowledge about it, understanding what we'd be getting into, we like knowing which gear to bring and how to map it out, we probably would be able to do it in the whole trail, maybe a little bit over a month.
Ooh, and how long was your trail? Your trail was about a month and
It was,
a week.
yeah, it was about that much time, yeah. But obviously, we took a turn away from it, but it was about that same amount of time. That's
So do you regret not staying on the trail?
No, because I still was not packed properly.
Mm.
I did not have the proper backpack to hold all my things together. I had things all over the canoe. It just was too scattered. I don't think I was prepared enough for the whole trail. So I think it was good choice that we made. And we can always go back and finish it another time, have a reunion canoe trip.
Do you think that the next time you do a trail, I'm leading the witness here, but that you will plan better for, or have you in the past planned better?
Um, yes, I actually, when I got back home, the first thing I did was I looked at the stuff that I brought and then I repacked it and how I will bring it next time, just so that I had the muscle memory. And I packed it up. I took pictures of it just so I could remember if I have another canoe trip, this is how I want the packing to look like.
That's nice. When you write
Yeah.
up when you write up the story in my fanciful brain, I want you to that'll be part of your story. Oh, serious. That's a good denouement, is that you are anticipating and a little tiny bit looking forward to the next variation, and you're already doing a little bit of prep work for the next variation.
Just in case it pops up, yes.
What was the best part of the trip?
Um,
Most
the
memorable?
best part,
A town
I
or
think,
village or area that you would like to revisit?
oh, I think there was a cute town that I would like to revisit. It was called Bellows Falls.
Ooh, is it Bellows Falls?
It, it's a cute little historic town. I think it might be the oldest town in Vermont, and it was just very sweet. I did not have time to explore it because we had to get on. There was thunderstorms coming in. We just didn't have, it was too hot. There was just a lot going on. But I would love to go back and have a nice long day in Bellows Falls. It was a sweet town.
And how long did it take you to return? Kind of, sort of.
To return, oh, from the river to New York.
Well, I guess. You went there and you came back again. How long did the back again take, or was it very gradual and part of the there?
It just took like a day. Uh Sam's dad came and picked us up in the car. We put the canoe back on the car. It was all beat up and scratched up now, but and then we went down south, and then they dropped me off at the train station that goes back to New York.
That's cool. Give it a grade. Give your trip a grade.
The grade probably 9 out of 10.
Oh, that's nice. And
I wouldn't have said that while I was in it, but looking back on it, it's
will you
different.
ever do a canoe trip again?
Yeah, I think that was a very steep learning curve, and I got the worst part of it over, which was just learning how to do it. And now it'll be a lot easier, and more fun in the future.
Summer, thank you for being the very nice, wondrously doll-like first guest on There and Back Again. Thank you.
No problem.
Bye.
It was nice to be here.